you guys. I really love this idea going around about everybody telling their vegan story on social media. So I thought that I would share my story with you guys. Before I get into that, I really just wanted to say thank you so much for all the sweet words regarding my dog. I don't know if you guys know, but the kids and I recently had our little dog pass away very unexpectedly, and it's been really hard, but everyone's been super sweet and supportive, and I just want to say thank you so much for your really kind words and your condolences. I've read every single one of them, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you for that. So my vegan story. I definitely was not always vegan. I too ate a pretty standard American diet. I'm looking back to my very early 20s. I think when I moved out of my parents' house when I was about 19 years old, that's probably the worst that my diet ever was. I was like eating pizza all the time, and I remember eating peanut butter Captain Crunch every day in the morning. It was gross. It wasn't cute. I didn't feel real great. I didn't have a lot of respect for my body. I was drinking a lot at that age because, you know, that's what you do when you're that age and you move out of your parents' house and you're on your own. So there was a lot of that, and you know, I'd say all the way up until I was about maybe 23, I really had no regard for my health or, you know, anything around me. I dumped all kinds of garbage into my body, whether it be drugs and alcohol and junk food and meat and dairy and toxic relationships, all of that stuff. So I think it was around the age of 23 or 24, something like that, that I started to do yoga. I had a lot of back problems. I had scoliosis, and it was recommended to me that I try yoga by a massage therapist. I was in terrible back pain. So I started yoga, and it helped my back pain a lot. And you know, it became a really regular part of my life. And one of the unexpected effects of a yoga practice was that I stopped wanting to eat meat. And it wasn't really a conscious decision at any point. There was no point at which I was like, I am not going to eat meat anymore. It is wrong and it's bad for me. It just kind of happened. And when I did my yoga teacher training, that was the last time that I ate any sort of land animals. And like I said, it wasn't an ethical decision. It wasn't a decision for my health. It wasn't a conscious decision to help the environment. It's just that the meat actually became repulsive to me, and I just didn't want it anymore. So I just stopped eating it. I still continued to eat fish for quite a long time. I didn't eat a ton of fish, and I never ate that much dairy at that time. And things like eggs and stuff were still a part of my diet too. But to lesser and lesser degrees. All through my pregnancy, I was vegetarian. I wasn't against eating fish at that point, but again, during the pregnancy, it was gross to me. So no fish at that time. You know, 3 years or so ago, that fish started to become gross to me as well. So I started to taper off on that. And again, it was for no apparent reason. I wasn't really aware of why I was doing it. Just, I really feel that my regular yoga practice and that sort of thing becoming a part of my life, it's just a natural thing to kind of drop off. You know, you just don't want to drink anymore. You know, I used to be a smoker. I didn't smoke anymore. Used to, you know, do all sorts of bad things, and those just started to fall by the wayside, and so did eating fish. And so it started to become gross for me. I still made it here and there for my kids. And then, like everyone else, I saw the documentary Forks Over Knives, and that was, you know, it was a real eye-opener. You know, once you see that and you really kind of absorb it, you're kind of like, okay, you know, it's not good for me. I don't need this as part of my diet. But the first time I saw it, I didn't really change my diet for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, I heard what they were saying, you know, I got it. Okay, you know, dairy is turning on cancer cells, and, you know, meat, you know, causes all these terrible things. And I just kind of told myself, well, surely in the amounts that I'm consuming it, because I still like to go eat sushi once in a while, and I still like to eat eggs. I believe that was the last thing to really go for me, was the eggs. And so I would just tell myself that it was just fine, you know, I hardly ever did it, so it was fine, you know, and I just kept on doing what I was doing, and it didn't change anything at all. And then I watched it again. I don't remember why I watched it. I think I found it to be an entertaining documentary, so I did just watch it again. And the second time I watched it, I was like, okay, you know, this is not good for me, so I shouldn't be doing it. I pretty much eliminated everything. But I was never like, I'm vegan now. I never like really proclaimed that, or, you know, made it official. But I did drop those things from my diet, and I stopped preparing the things for the kids. And I just kind of went on about it that way. And then I adopted my dog, Love. She's an Alaskan Malamute, and you know, I was looking for a dog for my family, and it took us several months to find her. We actually ended up finding her at the West LA Animal Shelter, and she was just, you know, really beautiful when I saw her. I remember we were walking through the kennels, and it was just me on my own at that time looking for the dog. It wasn't with my kids. So I remember walking through the kennels, and, you know, all the dogs are barking and going crazy, you know how it is in animal shelter. And then I came across her, and she was just like this giant, gorgeous, like serene beauty, just sitting there amongst the chaos, just totally chill. And so I asked to meet her, and I met her, and I thought she was really great. She was a really calm dog, which I wanted because we needed some more calm energy in the house. I have 2 wild children, so I really wanted that to make sure that I was bringing the right energy into the home. So she was very calm, very sweet, and so I brought my kids back to see her the next day. And this all ties into the vegan thing, by the way. She's a big part of it. So I brought my kids back to meet her the next day, and when I went to go find her in her kennel, she wasn't there. And so I got really worried that she had been adopted out, and we went over into that grassy area where they kind of bring the dogs out to meet the people, and there she was with an older gentleman. And we ran up to them, and I said, oh, are you gonna adopt this dog? And he was like, I think so, you know? And I was like, oh. And I was so disappointed for us, but like happy for her that she was gonna leave. And then my kids were there, and as soon as she saw my kids, she just perked right up. Like she had clearly been around kids or whatever. She has an affinity towards children, and she perked right up and got happy and wanted to run around and play with them. And as soon as the older gentleman saw that, he said, you know, I think you better take her, you know, she probably wants a little more than like a TV watching buddy. So so we ended up getting her, and it was really great. And I don't know why. I mean, I've had pets, you know, my whole life, and I've loved animals before, but her, for some reason, it was just different for me. I don't know. I guess they have that saying, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I think that's what it was. Oh, I got a text message. It's Jay. We'll call him later. So, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that's kind of the situation that it was for me in Love. I just fell in love with her, and it just became really obvious, you know, everything just became clear, and I made that connection between, you know, what you eat and how you are in the world. And she had a soul just like I had a soul, and there was no difference, and everything just made sense. And I just knew that I could just never hurt an animal again. And so at that point, that was it. There was no more eggs ever, no more anything ever. I didn't buy any more leather products, or, you know, started trying to make sure as much as I can that every product I use is vegan and doesn't test on animals, and in that whole thing, the whole ethical side of it came into play. And it never really had before, but she was the one that sort of made everything click for me on that end of the spectrum. And then, you know, you also see the whole environmental side of it, which I'd been aware of for quite some time. And, you know, I've always considered myself, you know, one to be, you know, a bit of an environmentalist. I grew up in Hawaii, and you're very connected with the earth there. You're outdoors all the time. You're in the ocean all the time. And you go to Hawaii and you don't, when I was a kid, you didn't see any trash on the beach. You really didn't see it. You know, and when you did, you picked it up. Everyone did, or nobody would ever litter there. You know, it's just, we're just a little bit more connected that way. And then in the mainland, it's not so much like that. So I think the environmental thing has always been a part of it for me. But then of course you see the documentary Cowspiracy, and you realize just, I mean, just the immense impact that it has on everyone and everything on the planet. And, you know, once you make those connections with your own health and the animals and the environment, there's just no going back. And it changes absolutely everything in your life. You just become more compassionate towards everyone and everything. And it's just been, I mean, the best fucking decision of my entire life. And, you know, it's just my passion in life to share that with everybody. I want to make everybody vegan. You're all gonna go vegan. It's great. I've never felt better. I've never looked better. I mean, I didn't have the body I have now when I was 22. It's better, and it's all the plant-based diet. But that's not really where my dietary journey ended. It continued to grow and change and evolve. I started doing a raw food diet. It was inspired by a girlfriend of mine. They had like a silent auction at our child's school or something like that, where she, you know, purchased a raw food chef lesson. So she invited, you know, some of her girlfriends over, and we all went to this like sort of raw food class. And it was really interesting and fun. And I had just, you know, become vegan, and, you know, I was like, oh, this is so cool, and blah, 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 and coconut oil, and you soak your cashews, and oh my God, this is so fun. You can make all these rich, yummy, creamy foods, and, you know, it's still vegan and it's raw. And they kind of give you this impression, the super duper raw food people, that, you know, it has these magical properties as long as it's raw. And that's kind of how I started to think. And I got really into it, and I was completely raw for a couple of months. And I was feeling pretty good-ish, but I did gain weight because, you know, I was doing like the coconut oil and the nuts and all that crap that, you know, you're not really supposed to be eating every single day. So I gained weight, and that wasn't so fun. So I was doing the raw foods, the higher fat raw foods, and my kids, they're into the fruits and vegetables and all that during the day, but they weren't really ever fully into a raw dinner. I mean, they do love salads, and, you know, we would make huge salads, but, you know, they weren't really into like, okay, I'm gonna make zucchini noodles, and they just never really jived with that. So I started to do separate dinners for them, where I was like cooking them like a vegan dinner, and I was making something else for me. And then it just got too tiresome, and I've never been one to do a separate dinner for my kids. All growing up, they never had a separate dinner from the grown-ups. They've always eaten what I eaten, and so it just got to be too much. And so I began to just eat the dinner that I cooked for them. So I would eat raw during the day, and then I would eat the dinner that I cooked for them. And then, you know, when I found Freely and the whole raw tofu thing, I was like, oh, I'm already doing that. You know, just, I thought it was so terrible. I was like, oh, I'm not raw anymore. I'm eating cooked dinner, blah, it's terrible. And then I was like, oh, it's okay. And I actually felt a lot better this way, and it was a lot easier and a lot more doable. So when I started watching more of PBA's videos, I I thought it was really great. I got what he was doing. I was like, yes, I believe that we're fruit eaters and this is the best way to live and it's what you're supposed to eat. But I just couldn't get over the whole, like, I just thought it would be boring, you know. I thought, oh, that doesn't sound fun, just, you know, eating bananas and fruit and like, oh, it's so boring, you know. You don't have any of like the old comfort foods that I'm used to, and I just didn't think it would be as satisfying, I guess. But slowly over time, I just introduced more and more fruit into my diet. And then when you do that, that just becomes what you crave. So they say what you eat is what you crave. And over time, that's just really all I wanted to eat. And now, even now, I mean, I do love potatoes and I love rice and I love all that stuff. But if I've got like a really good fruit stash of a variety of fruits, like I'd rather just eat fruit all day long and like maybe have a green juice or something. So it really does, your taste buds do change. I began to appreciate more and more the taste of fruit and, you know, just enjoying a simple mono meal of mangoes or whatever. And it's just been the coolest thing ever. And I can't believe that I'm this satisfied and this happy and this healthy and this full of energy eating the way that I do. I would have never guessed it, you know, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You know, I kind of always knew that I was on the path to being vegan for a long, long time, but I just would have never made this leap to this, you know, fruit-based lifestyle. And it's just been the best decision of my life, and it's been a really incredible journey. I learn a lot, and I continue to learn more and more every day from all of you guys that I watch on YouTube and Instagram, and it's just so much fun, and I love connecting with the people. And I feel like, you know, social media, I was such a social media basher before I got into it. I always made fun of my friends for being on Facebook, and I just thought it was lame. I thought it was too cool for that. But now that I'm doing it, it really is just such a nice community of people, and it's so great to connect with people that I have this thing in common with, because in my real life pool of friends, like I don't have like a ton of yoga friends, or I don't have many fruit eating friends in real life. So it's been really fun and really amazing to meet everybody, and I'm really excited to continue on this journey and go to Florida and meet people there and do fruit lux and eat fucking bananas and persimmons and dates and yummy stuff until I die. That's my story. Peace out.